Hi everybody, welcome to another Witchy Book Club live stream. We are going to be going over the section in the Kitchen Table Tarot. We're going to be going through the Minor Arcana from the Aces to the Fives, and we're stopping right before the Sixes. So I'm gonna, as usual, let some people kind of file in as they're now noticing that I'm live. We are kind of in a new place again. Hi Heather, hi Solaria, Willow, how are you this morning? You guys are ready. I can see you're coming in quick today. That is amazing. I have obviously a few announcements to make before we get into the reading, which normally take forever. But I have some really exciting announcements to make and some things to remind you about. So as you are filing in, hello, Whale Song 81. I hope you're doing well this morning. I just felt like I needed to be, woo woo, I made it early. Yes, morning queen. Victoria Lynn, I'm so proud of you. I just felt like I kind of needed to be at my desk altar area today. I don't know what it was. I was like, should I film in the bed? Should I film in the chair? Where should I be? And I just feel like I need to be rooted at my like sacred space. So I hope you guys enjoy the background of my working area. Angelica, good morning, Angie. How are you? Playing J Nimmonsfield one. I don't know. 13. Plain Jane Mansfield 13. There it goes. Hey. Good. I'm so glad that you're ready. Sorry, I just butchered your screen name or your YouTube channel name. Isadora, how are you this morning? Wow, you guys are coming in so quick. I'm really, really excited. Jessica Ann, good morning. All right, let's start off right away because last week's, as you guys may or may not have noticed, we, meaning my best friend Skylar and I, live streamed for 5 hours. 5 hours. Yeah. So we did a 3-hour live stream. We paused for an hour and came back and live streamed for 2 more hours. And we got through the entirety of the major arcana in the tarot system. It was way too long and not long enough all at the same time. So I feel a little bit of maybe insecurity about how long that went and how people might not feel like it's accessible to watch. But at the same time, like I take this very seriously and I still don't feel like I gave enough to each major arcana card. You can never, like I could make and do it all over again and say 15 different things about each card. But I hope that you guys can take your time with it if you haven't watched it yet and eat at it in bites. And for those of you who were there for most of the majority of the day with us, I commend you. You get 5 gold stars because it was quite a long and draining thing to do, but it was also very magical and charging, and it was so nice to be able to have Skylar there to help me to give other perspectives so I didn't get hooked or stuck on one specific topic. I thought that he brought so much wisdom and new eyes to certain things for me. So, and he asked some really intense questions and I was like, I don't know, you answer that. So it's there. If you guys are learning tarot or you want to just listen to some tarot talk, it's there. I am not planning on making this live stream that long. I'm going to try my best to keep it within our normal time frame of 2.5 hours. So with that said, let's get into it. My first announcement is that, are you ready? Some of you, if not most of you already here, might know. I'm so glad that you were absolute legends for doing that last week. Thank you. Hi, Rebel Child Tarot. I hope you're doing well. So the first announcement is that, like I mentioned last week, I stuck to my word and I created a witchy Facebook group, Witchy Book Club Facebook group. So for those of us who want to continue talking or sharing or getting deeper into the conversations about Witchy Book Club, we can do that over there. We already have, I think, 75 members, which is insane. Within 1 week, you guys, there is wonderful sharing and content, and you guys are posting pictures of your homework, and you guys are asking questions, doing videos about your thoughts and your discoveries on the cards or the books. It is making me so happy, and I feel like I need to kind of calm down with it actually, because I am so excited to see what people are sharing and saying and liking, and I'm like glued to my phone this past week, so I might need to like cut myself back a bit. But if you want to join Anyone can join. I do have 3 questions to answer before you get in, just to make sure that you're going to contribute and not be a troll in the, you know, the group. So you can head over to facebook.com/groups/witchybookclub. And like I said, there is really wonderful things being shared there. So it keeps you guys accountable, holds me accountable, to show you what it's like as I'm reading, you know, or as I'm doing the homework. We can share things with each other. So if you want to go over and join, please feel free to do that. It's a great way too to be reminded about things, and just to like feel like more of a community, because a book club is really not one person sitting up and guiding the group and really taking over the entirety of the conversation. I try my best to answer and keep you guys in the conversation as well. And for the past week, this Facebook group has already elevated this to another level and made it feel more of a community than just me, the leader, telling you my thoughts about the book. So with that said, I will probably announce that for a while in the beginning of these. Let me think. Oh, it's a reminder now to, if you would like to enter the giveaway that will be chosen at the end of this book's live streams. So there will be 5 total, 6, I don't know. Sorry. I will let you know as we go on. But after every live stream, so this one will count as one. If you're watching the playback right now, pop on down to the comments and check out the pinned one. So, hello Barefoot Taurus, how are you this morning? So if you're going to want to enter the giveaway, and what it is to win a free phone reading from Melissa Cynova, the author of Kitchen Table Tarot, which is so badass if you ask me. She is amazing that she offered that up for you. So the way you can enter is you answer a question on each of the live streams. Now, last week we did 2, and I announced in the beginning that the second one doesn't count. It's only for the first one. So I think there's going to be 5 total. I don't know. 5. Okay, so wait, let me think about this. So there would be the introduction, the major, the first part of the minor, the second part of the minor, and then the court card. So there's going to be 5. Yep. 5 questions to answer. There's 2 up already, and if you're watching the playback of this, there's 3 already. They're easy questions. They're fun. There's no right or wrong answer. It's just to keep you engaged and to talk about and to think about tarot or the book more in depth. You have to answer all 5 questions to be counted in for the giveaway. And if you want to, after you answer all 5 questions, to get 5 extra entries, you can share one of the Witchy Book Club live streams on any other social media. That really helps me, and that's also going to give you 5 extra entries into the giveaway. I think it's a really cool thing that I'm able to give away for you guys. Like, I don't feel worthy. I'm not worthy. So that's it. I just wanted to remind you guys that we're well on our way to completing the giveaway. So just keep engaged, and I'm excited for it. Okay, any other, let me think if there's any. Oh, my last announcement before we get into the homework of next week is that, again, we will be changing the time starting next week of Witchy Book Club. If you join the Facebook group, I will be reminding you forever and always until further notice, Witchy Book Club will still be every Monday live here on my channel, but it will go from 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So wherever you are in the world, when it's 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going to be bumping it back an hour to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the reason for that is that both of the kids are going to the same school now, and every other Monday I take them to school, and I do not have time to get back to make it before 9 a.m. So I need an extra hour now. That helps some people, that doesn't help other people. I'm never going to be able to pick a good time for everybody around the world and make everybody happy. So I just thank you for being understanding for me having to do that. I do have a life outside of this. So that's my announcement, and I will keep reminding you on my Instagram story, on the Facebook group, and in the beginning of these live streams, but starting next week. Okay, anybody have any questions before we get into the homework from last week? Really good. Ready for bed, just popping in to say hi. Hi. You are seriously twisting my arm to make a new Facebook account. I got rid of it months ago. You know, if you don't want to be on Facebook, because Facebook is not my favorite, it has been the past week because of the group, you can always just make like a little private account or something, and then, you know, just, Angie's like, I did the homework! That's so funny. You can always just make like a little one and don't have any friends and just make it, you know, private, and then just use it for the Facebook group if you're really wanting to do it for the Facebook group. I'm also considering a Facebook account. I have never been a part of Facebook or IG. It's my way of unplugging. If you feel like you don't want to do it, I don't want you to, you know, pressure yourself into it if it doesn't resonate with you, if it doesn't feel well. But again, you don't really even have to be using the Facebook app or it in general. Just have it account to kind of contribute or stay up to date on the group. You could do that too, but don't feel like you have to do anything you don't want to. No, are we good? Are we good? Let's go into, because I love this group. Oh, I love you, Heather. Victoria Lynn says, me too, Angie. I'm so excited. Okay, so let's get into the homework. Let me put down my cold ass coffee because I'm not using the beautiful mug container that Angie got me. It's dirty. I use it all the time. Okay. Our homework from last week, and I'm really excited about our homework for this week too, but our homework from last week was to pick a Hi Butterfly Magic with hot tea. Good morning. How are you? Our homework was to pick our soul card out of the Major Arcana because that's what we covered last week. This was almost impossible. This was the hardest homework I have assigned, in my humble opinion. Well, one, because we have all of the tarot within us. We live and breathe each and every bit of tarot, whether in our everyday life or throughout our journey here on the physical realm. So to pick one card to encompass us is extremely difficult because, and especially being a Gemini, I think I change every freaking hour. I feel like I am a different person every single hour. And I just feel like I can connect to so many things. I don't know if everybody feels that way. Can someone give me a permanent big fat F? Because this is like the third one in a row I haven't done. Sam, it's okay. It's all right. Again, I don't want to make you feel bad for not doing this. This is, let's all give ourselves a big fat F. F for fun. I did it, but could not narrow it down to one card. My soul cards at this time is the Hanged Man, Death, and the Tower. Wow, those are some intense soul cards. I would love to hear your thoughts on why you picked those. I got card 15, Nature, the Devil, from the Green Witch Tarot. Did you pick that one randomly, or did you really pick it and choose it for yourself? So I also could not pick just one card. I did talk about this in a little mini live stream that I did in the Facebook group. I couldn't. If I'm going to pick one, I'm going to pick the Empress card from the Nicoletta Ciccoli Tarot. I also want to apologize, sort of, because when I went live on the Facebook group, I talked about me picking this deck to use because it's my soul deck. And I feel like that confused people and pressured people into feeling like they had to pick their soul deck, when I just meant that this deck feels like it's my soul deck, and not everybody has that, and not everybody is ready to claim that on a deck if you're new or you don't have a deck that you really feel connected with. So I hope that that didn't deter anybody from doing this. I just am very connected with this specific deck. By the way, I love the desk and background. Yummy. Thanks. I just felt like I needed to be here today. So, okay, you randomly drew that card. What did you find from that? Did you feel like it was a good card for you to draw? And did you discover anything? Did you write about it afterwards? Did you answer the questions? Let me know. So I pulled these down to 2 cards. And what was interesting is, and I'll try to keep this short for me because I kind of already covered it in the Facebook group. What was interesting for me was that this is the Empress card in the Nicoletta Ciccoli. I think this is one of the most interesting Empress cards that I've ever come across, because to me, she kind of goes away from the stereotypical Empress, where a lot of the times you see this card pictured in very lush green nature settings, very rounded features or pregnant belly or feeling like she's nurturing or growing or surrounded by life. She seems very still and yin, where she can attract things to her without having to do much work. And this Empress to me feels like kind of like Gemini, which is why I feel connected to this. You can see that the land is very dry and barren and not really in anything of nature, even though she's outside. She seems super curious and intellectual. She seems like she wants to devour knowledge and ask questions. And she's got all these bugs and creatures here, but I always envision my mother, even though the Empress is known as the mother or the divine feminine, I always imagined my mother as a child through the Empress card. And I'll go back and read your comments because I'm very curious to what you have to say. But for the people who missed the Facebook Live, I want to go over, this was the second card I narrowed it down to, which was interesting. I didn't see this coming. I really couldn't let this card go for being my soul card. This particular moon card is my favorite. I think this is my favorite moon card of all time. This just really, really resonates with me on so many different levels and feels connected in a very deep, passionate center of me. But, you know, as the Empress is known as the divine feminine or the mother, Emperor is the divine masculine and the father. But I see this as my mother and me growing into my mother or a motherly role. And the Emperor is maybe my father when I was younger, but the Emperor to me doesn't really resonate all the way. My dad's a Cancer, so Cancer's ruled by the moon, and this essence of this card is where I see my father. And it's interesting when I sat back and I looked at these cards that I picked for my soul card, and I realized that I had picked my mother and father. And I was like, oh my God, this is so interesting. So I'm not going to go too much more into it on that other than to let you guys know that I couldn't pull this down to one card after making that discovery because I journaled a lot and answered the questions. This is my little journal entry here. I did it in my bullet journal because I just felt like it was really more important subconscious wise for me to access what these were meaning to me. If I had to pick, I would pick this specific card because of the fact that I feel like it encompasses not only my mother, but the parts of me that I feel are unique and that are, you know, my soul. But that was my biggest thing was finding that I picked my mother and father, basically. So let me go back. That was my little bit about you guys are commenting amazing things. Okay. Angie said I picked from the cards that always show up in my personal readings, but then someone mentioned a birth card and it was an option, so I chose that one. Angie, did you say later what your birth card is? If you want to share, I would love to hear. Solaria Willow said, I asked what messages from my soul I needed to hear, and the words personal responsibility and stop whining about crap I've done to myself popped up. Ooh, that is very blunt and interesting information, and I wonder how you took that. It feels like you took it well, but that's pretty intense messages coming through. Victoria Lynn says, I couldn't pick just one either. I picked the Tarot of the Hidden Realm, and my soul cards at this point in my life are the High Priestess and the Strength cards. Really, really powerful cards. I feel like there's a stillness within those cards, but so much power. That is amazing. I would love to meet you in person. You just have really cool energy to me. Sam, just did a random draw so I can feel like I somewhat did the homework, and I got the 10 of Cups. Maybe not my soul, but I'll take it for a daily pull. I love that. Whale Song 81 says, very briefly, with what is going on in my life, Hanged Man, I'm trying to get unstuck reflection. Death, no matter what my decision is, it will be new life. And the Tower, my old life, profession is going to be shattered. I am going through work-related burnout. Oh, gosh. I can resonate with that. I'm sending you lots and lots of just clarity, because I feel like when you go through burnout or when you go through work-related heaviness or changes, like it feels the unknown or the, all the questions that you might have about what to do, where to go. Clarity is so important. So I wish you good luck with that. Angie, the Emperor. Oh, wait, what did I ask you? I forgot. So let me go back. I want to know what I asked Angie. I picked from the cards, personal reading. Oh, so the Emperor is your birth card. And what do you think about that? The Emperor is your birth card. That is so interesting. I chose the basic Rider-Waite deck since it was my first deck and the one I used the most. What did you find from that, Angie? I pouted and gross just a tad. Sorry. Oh my God, I would love to meet you too. Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay. So, does anybody else have anything they want to share about the homework? Because this one was intense. I feel like we're going to have kind of an intense homework for next week as well, but it's not as like, maybe it will be shadow, but it's going to be a little bit more fun. But it's along the same lines. So, one more thing before we get into the reading, that I'm the oldest of my sisters and I'm the decision maker. Yes, I love that. I am as well the oldest. I do have a half sister that is older than me, but we only found out about her. You know, I didn't grow up thinking that I wasn't the oldest. I grew up into my adult life thinking that I was the oldest. So that's super interesting. Yeah, I love that. Okay, so the last announcement is kind of a big one, you guys. I'm announcing the next book that we're going over, and you guys picked it in the Facebook group. Again, it's really cool if you want to join the Facebook group. I don't know if it really helps me all, but it's helping us to stay connected and to really work together to grow Witchy Book Club. So I put out a poll, and the poll was to ask you guys what theme that you wanted to cover next for Witchy Book Club. And I gave you a few options, and you shockingly, like by a long shot, picked witchy fiction. So I was not seeing that coming. I put in like working with spirit, you know, learning about the moon, and all like other stuff. And you guys just like all wanted to read a witchy fiction fantasy type novel. I did not see that coming, but I was really excited because when I'm not doing this, that's what I'm reading is fiction books about, you know, magic, fantasy, witches, stuff like that. So I was all for it, but I was shocked that that's what you guys picked. So I did, holy shit, I just remembered that I haven't done homework for the last week. I pulled one now randomly. I got death. Ooh, interesting. What do you think about pulling death randomly for your soul card? Butterfly magic with hot tea. Ellen Dugan has good witch fiction. Okay, well, I will keep that in mind. But after I did the poll for the theme, I did some research and I picked 2 books that I thought would be really good for us. I wanted to make sure that we were picking books that dealt with witches or witchcraft, but that was fiction and fun, but that were novellas, so that we didn't read a book that was in a series. So we didn't feel like we had to continue with the series. I wanted a one and done fiction so we could, you know, keep it moving. The 2 books that I narrowed it down to, I made another poll for, and it was a little bit closer, but it was still really heavily leaning towards the book Uprooted by Naomi Novik. So that is going to be our book. I will put a link to it on Amazon in the information box down below once this has posted. And I'm really excited about it. There is, if you go online and look it up, I've already ordered mine, by the way. It should be here by tomorrow. If you go online and look up reviews, spoiler-free reviews on Uprooted, it seems to be like 80-20, where people are just obsessed with this book and they love it. And then there's other people who just didn't really jive with it. So I'm super curious about, oh my gosh, I forgot to take my ringer off. I'm sorry, hold on. I'm getting messages. So I'm really excited about it. It's a loose retelling of Beauty and the Beast. It starts off that way at least, and then forms its way into something totally different and magical. So that's what we're going to be covering. I have no idea how I'm going to continue doing homework. It'll be really fun and different. Again, the book, our next book is Uprooted by Naomi Novik. Okay, cool. All right, since I am in the middle of a move to a new apartment and there are several changes in my life, I was happy with the death card. Cool, I love that. Yeah, and it's so funny because our soul cards doesn't mean it has to be us forever and always. It just means like right now, what is your soul card? What are you connecting with? To shorten, I'm Butterfly or Butterfly Magic. Awesome, thanks. I feel like I don't want to offend anybody, or if like that's your name, you wanted me to say the whole thing. I'll call you Butterfly. That's so cute. All right, so I'm already sweating and we're 25 minutes in. I think we should start. I think we need to start. Just don't call my butt. Just don't call you butt. We'll see. Don't backsass me. Like, but let's start the reading. That is cold coffee. Okay. Our reading sections were the Minor Arcana. Hey, 25 minutes is a good start time. Thank you. I did a lot of announcements and we covered the homework. I'm very proud of myself. I am just very, very passionate about getting through this in a good time. By the way, I won't be on too long. I have color in a few. I wish you lived close to me because I want you to do my hair. I want you to color it, or just, I need you, Angie. Our section was to go from the Minor Arcana's aces through fives. So let's get into it. Girl, I'd be happy to spend all day on live chat with you. Love you, Sam. It would make my workday so much better. Love you. All right, so we start on page 119, and I just want to go through the beginning section before she gets into, you know, talking about the aces. She does give a really wonderful kind of breakdown of the elements. So I'm going to pretend that a lot of people here don't know anything about tarot, or, you know, this might be, you might be really brand new to it and you're still trying to understand it. So within the Minor Arcana, the aces through the tens, there are, and even through the court cards, there are 4 suits, just like in a regular deck of playing cards. You have your hearts, your spades, your clubs, and your diamonds. In the tarot, you have the pentacles, the swords, the wands, and the cups. And each of those will connect to a different element. And that's what she goes into on the first page here on 119 is elements in the tarot. And she breaks down the pentacles being earth, grounding, the swords, air, intellect, the wands, fire, action, and the cups, water, emotion. And so when we're going through each of these minor, there's going to be elements attached to each of the suits, or each of the each of the suits. And even though we go through the numbers, so all the aces will have an overall connection to each other, and then each of those will be broken down into the suits. I feel like that might have been confusing, but you'll get it as we go. It says, easy peasy, right? It helps me remember how the elements move in relation to which card comes up. Each suit in the tarot aligns with an element. The elements are pretty easy to remember and also make it easy to remember which suit acts each way. So then on the next page, she even gives a little table for breaking down the court cards and seeing how each of them differ. And now we're going to break down each of the suits very quickly, just so we can have a clear understanding as we go on. And she starts with Pentacles. Pentacles is the earth element and the overall feel of grounding. And I've highlighted this. It says she was going through a little bit of each of the cards, but she said 10 is a lot. I don't see it as a good card because you're only truly satisfied. Because once you're truly satisfied, then what? And then she goes in and says, the pentacle is a magical symbol and includes all elements and spirit. It's the support we crave. It is the place we draw our energy, and sometimes the place that we lie down and cry. Can you be too grounded? Maybe not in the colloquial sense of the word, but you can feel as though your life has become so overwhelming, you're afraid to let go of the grasp for fear you'll float away. The earth is the physical. It is our resources. It is our, it's our body. It's the earth. It's the actual earth. It's finances. It's relationships, but in a different sense. It is grounding. That's the perfect word. Resources, finances, our material possessions. Now, we already covered astrological lessons, so anybody who is linking things to astrology or was with us during that astrological live stream series, I'm going to be referring to certain things to here because I learned astrology first and then I learned tarot. And there's a lot of similarities and things that go back and forth. So as you think of Earth, all of the Earth signs and the characteristics of certain things, like fixed, wanting to be stable and secure, having a hard time getting moving or changing, or things not being the way that they normally are, all that earthy element can be found throughout with little winks and glimpses into the Pentacles suit throughout each card that you're kind of going into. Then we're going to talk about the swords, which is air, and the major word that she has is intellect here. I normally will say communication, but I think intellect might, excuse me, encompass more than just communicate. Excuse me. She says, again, she goes through each of the cards a little bit, and then she says, and then there's the 10. I'm not sure that there is a bleaker card in the tarot, and yet there is some amazing benefits to having these cards come up for you in a reading. Even the 10, sometimes all you need to know is that it's the lowest point, that it won't get any worse, and you can gather the strength to move on. The swords are an air sign and are about intellect and clarity. That being said, it's easy to get caught up in the symbols of the tarot and forget that these items, these magical items, have everyday use as well. The wand, the pentacle or coin, the cup or chalice, and the sword, or well, okay, it's just a sword. You can get very basic with these. What does a sword do? It cuts things. It's a weapon. It can scare the bejesus out of people. In the case of the Ace of Swords, it's not aggression, but assertion. You can be mighty. You can be respected and defend yourself. You can make yourself heard and have courage. And so for me, I would bring it back a little bit to astrological things and talk about the air being a way to, or we've covered air element anyways too. Air literally is what we need to survive. We bring it into our lungs and out of our lungs every second of every day. We have to continue breathing, but it's also what allows us to communicate externally with our voices. And if you can't, or if you think about it in an internal way, it's our mind and the way we communicate with ourselves, our thoughts, and the way we're processing things and taking them in through our ears, listening to certain things, whether it's sounds, music, conversation, that all to me is really encompassing air. And I'm just trying to think of how I want to, it's a lot. It's a lot. I don't know if I feel I can do this. I can do this. Okay. So wands is what we're going through next. Wands is the element associated with fire, and her keyword is action. And I just highlighted, think of how fire moves. It can be steady flame, it can be an ember, or it can be a grand explosion that knocks the air out of you. The wands begin with the essence of flame, steady, confident, and full of potential. And then it can go into a wild fire. The thinking about it and breaking it down like an actual flame or what actual fire does is extremely helpful to me. And I've talked about this before, where I feel like my most difficult element for myself is to live and to understand fire. But there is a lot of beautiful things that I see that I do and that I live through without consciously being aware of it a lot of the times. But fire is action. It's what makes us move. Have you ever heard light a fire under his ass? Or, you know, as quick as a match is struck, that's how quickly inspiration and passion and movement can come into us, is just like the spark of a flame. And passion can grow and spread as quickly as fire, but also sometimes it's really easy to put it out depending on its largeness by just a little bit of water. So there's a lot to play with there. Let's keep going. The cups is associated with the element of water or emotion. A lot of the times, well, let me read this because I'm about to say exactly what I highlighted. So cups is water or emotion. The cups are all about emotion. In any of the cards, really, water represents your heart. You can handle things and how you internalize them. How you handle things and how you internalize them. Think about what water does. It cleanses, it refreshes, it nourishes, and it gives life. It can also erode and dissolve emotion. You can gauge the amount of intensity by how close to the figure the water is, how they're interacting with it, and how much is in the card. The position of the water in the card tells us how the emotion is being expressed. And think about what it feels like to be so thirsty you can't think of anything other than getting water. I need water. Breaking these elements in the suits down to the actual physical aspect of like the element is really, really helpful, you guys, to simplify it and break it down. When we're talking about pentacles, it's earth. Think about earthly physical things. When it's water, think about water and how you react or how water is used on a daily. Go through all the elements and break it down, and we'll focus and it'll be easier to connect to certain things in my mind. Okay, just so now that we have a little overview of the elements throughout the suits, let's go into the aces. Does anybody have any questions or anything they want to say? Doesn't look like it. Okay, Sam says, I've been getting into Ayurveda. I don't know what that is. Should I know what that is? Did I just should have myself? What is that? Recently, and going over the elements of tarot has made me realize how much it relates to. I don't know what that is, Sam, or maybe, I don't know. Maybe I do, and I just, let me know what that's about. Okay, let's go into the aces. Like last week, I took 3 decks and I pulled all the majors out so we could see the differences. I just did 2 decks this week, so we're still working with the Rider-Waite Centennial. But also this week, we're going to be working with the Sacerabido Tarot because I really like the way that they depict the suits in this deck. She says the traditional Hindu system of medicine, which is based on the idea of balance in bodily systems and uses diet, herbal treatment, and yogic breathing. That's super interesting. I feel a little dumb for not knowing. It's an ancient Indian healing system, relates to yoga. That sounds something right up my alley, and I just haven't gotten to explore that yet, so thanks for sharing that with me. I would love to hear more if you want to send me some links or something. That would be awesome. Okay, so let's move on to the aces. Let me pull the aces out that I have done from the Rider-Waite and the Sacerabido Tarot. All right. So here are our aces in the Centennial deck. You can use whatever deck you'd like. Hopefully it's following some sort of basis or Rider-Waite way. It's some sort of system related to the Rider-Waite. So the aces are the essence. And that's the perfect term that I would connect with the aces. The aces are the very core of what the suits are. They are the nucleus of each suit, the brain of the swords, the heart of the cups, the backbone of the wands, and the root of the pentacles. Now, before we get into this, I will say that when I was learning tarot, it was very easy to understand what each of the aces meant to me. But when it came up in a reading, I found that I struggled a whole lot because I didn't know how to take the essences and turn it into, you know, a message through that. Because it's almost like, all right, well, this is the essence. How do I translate that into a message without just kind of listing what the essence of the card is? And sometimes that helps. But this is the elements at their purest form, at the beginning. These are gifts. These are the starts. It starts with the aces. So it's just like this fresh new breath of air, or it's the beginning of something, or a gift, or this is the essence of it. So let's break it down. But I struggled a lot with not learning what those cards meant, but using them. So you're not alone if you're feeling the same way. Because sometimes I feel like when cards are more open-ended, it makes it harder to trust in yourself. When there's cards that have like, here's really where to go with this, it might be a little bit easier when you're starting out to kind of feel through the message or feel through the guidance of that. Let's start with the Ace of Pentacles. And here's the Ace of Pentacles in the Rider-Waite-Smith. And Melissa Cynova says the Ace of Pentacles is grounding. What I mean by this is that if you break it down into its parts, you have everything you need to stand on your own 2 feet. The 5 points of the Pentacles are for earth, air, fire, water, and spirit. We've covered a lot of elements in Witchy Book Club so far, so this should be like, we got it. The first pentacle was likely an outstretched hand, 5 fingers, 5 points to our star. And then I have, as a magical tool, the pentacle is the shield, which protects the practitioner from harm. Now, I made a little note here because I thought of something when she wrote, as a magical tool, the pentacle is a shield, which protects the practitioner from harm. I thought about, with the hand being the first pentacle and the 5 points, when you're shielding yourself from harm, think about when you fall, what you normally do. You put your hands out to stop you. Or when something's coming your way, you might put your hands up in defense of to help you with that. And we don't really need to go on too far of that. That's what came into my mind when reading that and connecting what she wrote before about the hand and then it being the shield. But sometimes to advance, you have to put the shield down, and that's where the challenging aspects tend to lead toward with this element. And then she says, I always imagine the Ace of Pentacles being under the client's feet. The pentacles are perfectly aligned with the earth and are stable and still. They are able to connect to people and make calm decisions. They're more financially secure than they may have ever been in the past. This card is about wealth and prosperity, but also about putting that energy into you from the earth. This card is abundance, blessings, and luck, all good things. Okay, so this is what it looks like in the Cesarebito Tarot, and let me go through your comments to see what you are contributing. When I went to school, okay, you guys are still talking about that. I love to hear about it. Let's keep going though. Wayward Son, Sammy, I love this book. I love this book too. I think it makes it really easy and practical and kind of just down-to-earth modern way of thinking or talking about tarot. So it's a little overwhelming for one person to try break it all down and go through it, but I'm doing my best. Whale Song 81 says, I think of seeds when I see the aces. That's a really good way to interpret the aces. They are planting that seed, or the seed being planted, or, you know, moving from it being in the earth and growing into something else and moving throughout the rest of the minors. Wouldn't it relate to one of the fixed signs, Taurus? Yeah, so that's one. Earth. A lot of the times my mind goes back to the first 4 signs because those tend to be related a little bit more towards the when I say simpler, I don't mean like the signs or the people who have those signs are simple. It's just the beginnings. So I'm talking about the signs Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and Cancer. Those are very pure ways to live through the elements, and it gets a little bit more complicated towards the ending going to Pisces. But that's where I feel sometimes in my heart where I automatically go to. So yes, I would think of this as being Taurus, but also any of the other earth signs. But there's so much more to that to bring in astrology in yet. But look at the way that this is connected here. We see flowers, which is really earthy. Bees buzzing. She seems really connected, really centered, really grounded. The greens in the backgrounds, really earthy to me. The deck that I've been using to follow you has 2 hands holding the pentacle. Easy to remember to use both hands to shield myself. Thanks for that tip. Interesting. Okay, so this is the Ace of Pentacles. Let's keep it moving and we can recap with the aces at the end. Let's go into the Ace of Swords. Now, I'm just going to make a note that there is inverted sections in here, but for the sake of time and for the sake of keeping it as clear as possible, I'm not going to be covering the inverted sections, even though I did read and highlight it. If you guys have a question or you want to bring up the inverted or the reversal qualities, feel free. I just feel like to keep it going, I need to not cover that, which we did with the minors. So let's move on. Now we're talking about the Ace of Swords. We're still talking about the essences of the suit. So this is going to be the essence of air and intellect. So Melissa says, the essence of intellect. A bolt of lightning strikes you and gives you the best idea of your life. You make good decisions. You cut to the chase, because get it? It's a sword. I love her so much. Hi, Imogen. How are you? I'm late. Can't stay long. Sorry that you can't stay long, Raven song, but I'm glad that you're here for a second and I get to say hello to you. I also like the shield image. Thank you. Agree. So we're on to the Ace of Swords. And she says, do you know that feeling you get when you just know the answer? You can find your way through the puzzle. You've figured out what everyone else has missed. You know exactly where to go, when to go, how to go, and what you're going to do when you get there. You have no doubt. Emotion doesn't enter the decision. It's certainty, plain and simple. This is the card of truth. It doesn't matter what you thought was right. It doesn't matter how you were raised. The truth will cut all that nonsense away. It is sharp. It cuts to the heart of the matter, and it strips bare the assumptions that we've carried with us. A lot of people's least favorite suit is the swords because it is challenging for a lot of people. That is not the case with me. I love and embrace the swords, but I was raised in a very earthy, I mean not earthy, well it was earthy and air household, and live and breathe quite intensely through the earth and air elements myself. I have a lot of Queen of Swords women in my family, so I was kind of raised with an edgy sword way, if that makes sense. And I'm not putting anybody down. That's just how it is, and I'm embraced it, and I am thankful for it. So, I did put, I wanted to make a little note about the inverted on this one though, because it basically is saying, take all of that and say like you missed it by that much, right? Or the challenging aspects of Ace of Swords might be when you know the answer, but like you can't think of it in time, that feeling. So that's a challenging feeling of the Ace of Swords to me, is like, let's say you're playing a game with your friends and they ask a question and it's not like, I don't know, I'm not gonna guess. It's like, oh my gosh, I know it. I know the answer to this. Like, oh my gosh, I can't think of it. It's on the tip of my tongue and it's not coming to me. It's not coming to me. That would be a challenging aspect of this card, is like feeling like you know it and then you hear it and the times run out and you go, oh, I knew that. That's kind of the opposite of this. So upright, it's like you hear a question and you just automatically know the answer. Or things just come to you, or you just don't need to get anything else involved. This is what it looks like in the Cesarebito Tarot. This is one of my favorite Ace of Swords because it's kind of cutting through any other crap, any other heaviness or darkness around emotions or insecurities, the swords elements can incorporate all of that, but the ace at its essence is just going to cut right through it, and it's not going to matter. It can get right through everything and just be the purest of communication. Swords to me have always meant strife, which is odd considering I'm always chatty and seek knowledge. That's interesting. A lot of people think challenging things about the suit of swords because it is a lot of challenges within it, but I like a good challenge. Root cause, critical thinking at its best. I'm just thinking out loud, so to speak. I love it. Just keep giving me your thoughts. Mommy brain, Ace of Swords reversed. Yes! Yeah, mommy brain, pregnancy brain, that like, wait, what was I just doing? I forgot. Or forgetting what you were saying halfway through. That would be like challenging. I don't want to keep going into that so much, but I did think that little comment about everybody's had that moment where it's like, wait a minute, I know it, I can't think of it, I was just talking about her, I know this, but I can't think about it. That, but upright is like, this is it, I got it, aha, lightning bolt, just a good idea, what if we did this, and then moving on it. Okay, so let's keep going through the aces and we can come back. Wait, let me do this way. Sorry guys, I'm trying to not have cards spill out all over my bed. Okay, now we're going to move on to the Ace of Wands. And Melissa says that the Ace of Wands are used to help you focus your power and take action. Power and action. You can see the similarities in the Rider-Waite about the way that these are depicted as well. So keep that in mind. The Ace of Wands is good luck or good karma, but what you do with it is up to you. It's a heck of a head start. Oh, it says, if you want to reach the castle, you'd better get focused and get moving. It's a heck of a good start. So these are, again, beginnings, blessings, gifts, the essence of the elements. It's succeeding beyond your dreams. Also, that's a pretty big stick. How are you going to use it? For good or for evil? Are you going to guide people with it or clobber them in the head with it? With great power comes great responsibility, right? This card is heavy with responsibility. Take care and be careful what you do with that stick. You could take your eye out if you're not careful. So let me show you what it looks like in the Cesarabito Tarot. Very cool. I love this depiction because it sticks pretty clear to the traditional, but it has action. It has another element down here. Let me see what you guys are saying. The swords remind me of my witty, sassy, inquisitive, chatty nature. Same! Hi, Debbie. How are you doing today? So when we're talking about the wands, again, I'm going to bring it back. I also love how here we see this like burning fire sunset, which really brings into the element even more with color for me about fire. Bringing this back to action and movement and power and passion. That's what the suit of the wands really is going to encompass. It's that like, it's action, it's go, it's how are we, like what we're doing. It could be athleticism, it could be inspiration in a internal action, like this is what I'm doing and it's coming from inside of me. I feel like a light has gone on, a fire has been lit. This is a powerful suit. So I don't know why sometimes I struggle with it. It looks like a little switch which lend who that you create or attack energy. I don't quite understand. Let me read it again. It looks a little like a switch which lend who that will you I can't understand that. I'm sorry, Solaria. I feel like you might have mistyped that, or maybe my brain is just foggy. This is the Ace of Wands. It is fire, it is passion, it is action, it is movement, it is inspiration. It's the beginnings and the essences. And I love what she says about like a stick you hit someone with, right? Or an actual wand. Think about it in Harry Potter, okay? It is so easy to take magic and use it for negative or challenging. When you have power, whether in everyday life in like a government type way, or a boss or a leadership role, or you're seen by a lot of people, it is really important to use power and passion and action for your highest good, or for purest intent. And that's where the challenging aspects will come in here, is for using your power and using your power for against others or yourself. Okay, let's keep going. I'm getting a little hung up here. Let's get through the aces. So next we go through the Ace of Cups. This is such a cool card. I think if I hold it over here, it'll focus a little better. The essence of the cups is emotion. Essentially the heart of the tarot. The cup is literally overflowing with the bounty and blessings. Can you guys see that? The chalice represents the womb of the goddess in magical practices. Similar to the Christian blood of Christ, this represents the bounty and promise of the goddess, filling us with whatever liquid lies within. We bring this blessing into ourselves and our thirst is sated. The important thing is to take it and drink. This is about new beginnings, new love, new job, new butterflies in your stomach because she totally flirted with you and the hope and excitement is completely overwhelming and makes your brain grin. This is about potential, grabbing onto hope with both hands and letting yourself bathe in the good vibes and positive emotion and emotional energy. This is like such a happy card for me. All of the aces are, but this one is like really happy because it's emotions. It's just exactly what she wrote. It's that oh, she's flirting with me, or oh, these new feelings, these new excitement, this new beginnings, new job, feeling all of the feels. And then this is what it looks like in the Sacerdotado Tarot, which is interesting because the liquid is like really green and kind of mucky, but it still feels like it's wanted and it's fulfilling. That's to me at least. Now what's interesting is that this Ace of Cups doesn't incorporate some sort of, the background is very pink, which is very heart-centered and emotion, but through the camera, it's looking a little bit more red than it is, I feel like, in person. Maybe not. But this is this pink, this heart, these emotions, this love, this relationship kind of color is what they're representing the Ace of Cups. A lot of times in suits, you'll see that it'll probably be depicted with like a seafoamy green or like a watery color. And then it's kind of hard sometimes to differentiate because the swords a lot of the times is also depicted as like grays or blues or bluish grays because of air, when this deck is using a lot of this pinky heart-centered color for this. I'm really influenced by color, so that's why I'm mentioning it. Okay, so those are our aces. Again, to recap, the aces are essences. They're the simplest, purest forms of our elements. They're new beginnings, they're gifts, they're blessings, they're the start of something, the planting of the seeds. And yeah, these are awesome cards to get or to have or to see come up in a reading. When I get this card, I major happy Pisces vibes, emotionally fulfillment, and blessings to the max. Yeah, so these are nice little cards. Like, think about it if you're playing any game, like card game too. 9 times out of 10, aces are going to be high. Whenever you get an ace, you're like, yes, I got the ace. It's dominating overall. So let's move on now. Does anybody have anything they want to talk about with the aces or the writing from the book? Before we move on to the twos, just let me know what you feel from the aces. Again, I feel like I'm not covering enough, So I'm just going to do my best to get through it and know that this is what I can do. This is what I feel I can get done. Love you, girl. Off to work for me. I will watch later. Bye, Wayward Son. I adore you, and I hope that you have a beautiful day. So let me take a little drink of water. Okay. I'm already sweating so bad. Anybody have anything they want to say about the aces? Okay, great. So after these beginnings, these gifts, these new pure energy through the aces, we move on now to the 2. And the 2s, here we have the 2s of the Rider-Waite. What is the one ace that you will hate getting in reverse? I don't know. I don't hate getting anything in reverse, but I get what you're trying to ask. It's more so like maybe the one that like, oh, I don't want to see in reversed. That's why we have the group. We can continue the conversation there. Saves time. Yeah, time limit. Got you. Yeah, but that's a good question. Which one? I think for me, probably the swords reverse, just because I'm such a wordy, talkative, communicative, like I live and breathe through air. So that's funny. Pun intended. No, the air element to me is probably the one that I connect with the most, and earth, and well, all the moments of fire. But anyways, that feeling that I talked about of like, you can't get it. It's like, it's there. It's right there on the tip of my tongue. Like that lack of clarity or the lack of the unknown, or feeling like it just isn't working. Like you just can't get there. That's really frustrating to me. So I would say probably the swords reverse, but any of them. And when you are when you're working with reversals, it can be mean and go so many different areas. It's really important to pay attention to where it lays, what you're asking, what you're dealing with. But good question. Anybody else want to answer that in the comments below? Feel free, or in the live chat. So now we're moving on to, okay, I gotta go. I'll stop by later to see you. It's still on. Bye, Angie. Have fun coloring that hair. Yeah, that's what I mean. And you're right. Save it for the group. Okay. So, but those are great questions. If you guys are joining the Facebook group and you want to ask questions to see what other people have to say, that's amazing. So the 2s, here we have the 2s in the Rider-Waite Centennial. Ooh, I got it fanned out really nice. So Melissa Cynova says that 2s are coming together. Plans coming together. The wands are plans coming together before the action of the 3. The cups are 2 people becoming a couple. The swords represent clarity of thought and ideas taking shape. And the pentacles show someone juggling all the responsibilities, flowing and taking shape beautifully. So this is the coming together. I also see these as choices. Yeah, I also see this as choices. So these are our, let's start and let's do the 2 of Pentacles. So this is our 2 of Pentacles card. It's so cute. I love the imagery on this card. Okay, so the 2 of Pentacles is about juggling. So remember now, we're still sticking with our elements. So when we're thinking about Pentacles, when we're thinking about swords, wands, or cups, we're going to be relating them still to each element, but each of the cards and the numbers are going to hold a different energy. So this is going to be still grounding, still earth, still resources, money, the physical realm, our physical body. This is still the element of earth, but now we're talking about juggling or choices within juggling. Handling money, family, your home, your job, doing all of this well. It's about balancing yourself and your partner's needs. The water behind our intrepid juggler is in some serious turmoil, but the juggler is dancing. The infinity symbol comes back again to tell us that this dance doesn't end. I like the balance of these things. Some things you keep a grip on and some things you keep an eye on. And that's where I feel like in this card choices kind of come, is like knowing how to balance and knowing how to juggle the physical things in our life, like knowing how to have a healthy give and take of work and family and home, and being able to balance all of these things, taking care of yourself, also taking care of others. you know, having a healthy relationship with this. It never ends, and it's about, you know, knowing how to take care of those things or to live through balancing those things. Here's what it looks like in the Sacerabito Tarot. Beautiful. We still get it there. We don't get this cute little dancing guy, but the hands are still here, being able to juggle these or throw these up in the air. And I love this earthy element surrounded here. You can still see the infinity symbols. You see how you still see the infinity symbols? And these are our 2 pentacles. So that is the 2 of Pentacles. We're talking about juggling and balancing things of the earth element, staying grounded within this movement of day-to-day physical life. I don't know where to put this stuff on my bed. Every time you say the name of the deck, my brain immediately says Sassy Burrito. And I will now be forever saying, instead of the Sacerabito, I'm going to be saying the Sassy Burrito. Because that's more fun and easier to say. So now we're going to move on to one of my absolute favorite cards in the entire deck. And it is not a lot of everybody's favorite cards. And it's the 2 of Swords. So the 2 of Swords, I think that is where, okay, let me start again. I literally put a little heart next to this one. I think that there is a point in nearly everyone's life where you realize that you're alone. And she goes through a lot of this. She writes a lot on this card. So I've only highlighted the spots where I really feel like we can dive into here. She says, first, being alone and being lonely are 2 different things. Settle in that, you guys. Being alone means that you've got no one to connect with. I feel alone is a deeper state of being than lonely. That feeling that if you get lost, there will be no one there to find you. I remember thinking when I first became alone that if I fell down the stairs and no one would find me for 3 days and the aforementioned cat would eat my face off, nothing like freaking yourself out of doing laundry or walking down the stairs ever again. Being lonely means that your boss was a complete ass and you don't have anyone to commiserate with, or that you haven't been in touch for a while, or that you haven't been touched for a while, excuse me. I've seen that when the condition of aloneness is new. It's startling. Being alone and being lonely are 2 different things. I want to propose, however, that there is strength in solitude. I call the 2 of Swords the shut the hell up so I can hear myself think card. It is about being alone. This woman has grabbed a chair, a blindfold, and a few swords and marched herself out into the middle of nowhere. All of her other senses are cut off. She doesn't need external influences for the decisions she needs to make. She doesn't need distraction. She is alone and okay with that. This is something she needs to figure out for herself. In the wandering narrative of tarot, this is what happens after the shock of alone goes away. When you realize that you don't need the world's chatter to make sense of your life. That moment when you wander away by the shore, pull up a seat on a bench, and blindfold yourself against distraction. So, to me, this 2 of Swords is really important to have 2 swords either crossed or the feeling of there being conflict here that you need to quiet all of the rest of the chatter and communication and really go within. This is really kind of an internal thing. Being alone or feeling lonely, there's 2 different things here, but this card draws on being able to find the answers without anybody's help, or maybe making a decision based off of you and you. Even though it might affect and hold within it other people, it's you. You have to get quiet and sit down in the chair and blindfold yourself and really think and come to conclusions about things. That's the 2 of Swords. This has been really powerful and life-changing twice in my life now when working with the 2 of Swords, making huge decisions based on what works for me and what I need to do, even though it obviously sprinkled out into other people's and affected other people with choices that I've made. But let's move on. I'm very passionate about that card. I could make a whole friggin' thing about the 2 of Swords, but let's keep going. Unless you guys have things to say, feel free to keep commenting them down below. So now we're going to move on to the Wands suit. And we're going to be doing the Two of Wands. Look at this guy. Look at him holding his globe, sitting on the edge of the castle, standing on the edge of the castle, looking out along the land, his globe in hand. The man is looking out into the world. It looks as if he's longing for adventure. Remember, we're talking about the suit of fire now, so we're action and passion and movement. Why then has he bolted his walking sticks to the wall of his castle? He's holding a globe, a representation of the whole world, yet he doesn't seem to be going anywhere anytime soon. It seems to be very conflicting, but I think it's about deliberation. Again, we're coming back to kind of keying into choices, wanting to act, but wanting to think about where, how, or if to act at all. He wouldn't be looking out in the world if he were content with his own kingdom. He wouldn't have the globe if he didn't wonder what it contained. It's kind of about hesitation. Sometimes you actually do have to look before you leap. I'm personally terrible at this, but I've heard it can be very effective. I love Melissa. So yeah, this is going to be action and passion, but it's also going to be that planning, that hesitation, or that deliberation before getting up and moving. What do I want to do? What am I passionate about? Where do I want to go? How do I want to move? This to me is an interesting way to depict this. It's not my absolute favorite, but I do see how this can be connected with this here. We have purple color in the background, which is interesting too. But what, let's see if anyone, I just want to make sure that I'm still sticking with comments here. Hold on one more time. Let me get rid of this. So here we have the Two of Wands in the Sassy Burrito deck. Again, we're talking about, as a YouTube creator, how much of the book can you read without getting in legal trouble? Will you be okay? You know, I don't know, and I don't really care. To be honest with you, and partially because this book, I'm like, the author Melissa and I have been talking a lot, and she knows that I'm doing this, and even though I might still not have the right to do that, I am crediting the book. I am not taking this word and saying that this is my word or my written word. It's very publicized that this is coming out of this book. And I think you're allowed to review or to talk about certain things as long as you're giving critique, or you're actually having your own conversation about it, and it's not just straight up plagiarism or copyright, you know, copyright infringement. So I'm pretty sure I'm okay, as long as I'm not taking this and publicizing it as my own, which it definitely is not. Melissa is much more funny than I am. So, I know. Thank you so much, Butterfly. I really appreciate that. And YouTube will let me know. It'll copyright strike me, or it will, you know, it will let me know. So this is the Two of Wands. And we're moving on now to the last two, which is the Two of Cups. Now, this is a cute little card. Look at the love. Look at the exchanging. They're facing inwards towards each other and looking within each other. And we have this cool little lion bat hanging above them. That symbol in the background looks like the horse protection symbol, which makes sense with the Two of Swords. Hold on. I don't know what. Because she is protecting her right to make her decision on her own time in her own way. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? What without outside interference? Okay, I'm going to keep going because I don't know where you're going, but I love that you're contributing. Keep contributing, and maybe I'll line it up right. So now we're going on to the Two of Cups. This is partnership. Right, yeah, thank you. This is the Two of Cups. This is partnership. I've got your back and you've got mine. The cups are balanced. Quite lovely, actually. This is a card I like to see for relationships. The Lovers is just so intense. There is nothing wrong with intense relationships, but often they catch fire and burn out. It's like lust and love, but then when it comes down to it, being able to choose every single day and make those choices to create a union and to work on relationships and to stay rooted into pure emotions, trust, compassion, and true partnership. In a relationship, it's the friend that you've always wanted paired with the lover you didn't know you were always looking for. That's gonna make me cry. Oh, sorry. I am in such a loving, happy, and connected partnership that I'm very grateful about. And I actually just made an Instagram post about the Two of Cups. I'm going to read that again. In a relationship, it's the friend that you've always wanted paired with a lover you didn't know you were always looking for. My Two of Cups card has two different colored cups. Oh, one clear and one gray, or black and white. Ooh, that's really interesting. That is, yeah, that's interesting. I'm just kind of taking it in. I don't really know what to say about it, but I'd love to see that card. What deck are you using again, Heather? So this is the Two of Cups, and you don't actually see any cups here, but the connection, that partnership, that like pinky promise, they're holding on to pinkies there, or that there's connection here and emotion. There's these flowers blooming, budding. And to me, again, this is about choices, like I mentioned, but through emotions. It's like when you're in a loving relationship with a friend, a family member, or a loved one, or even an animal, it's about every single day wanting to connect and to make that choice to come at it with an open heart, to see things for what they are, but to work through them, good or black, white, or, you know, white or black cups, as Heather's card shows. It's the Ethereal Visions Tarot. I'll send it to you. Yay. Okay, so now we've made our way through the twos. The twos are coming together, or the bringing together. Again, I see within there or underlying choices within that. And we can break it down, and we broke it down with each of the elements as well. I will say that I kind of am bummed to announce this after it's not available anymore. But for Ethany's Tarot Summer School, Melissa Cynova actually had a course that I paid for and that I haven't been able to start yet, which would have been nice to do before starting to talk about the Major Arcana. But it's just, I didn't get around to it. And Melissa did a course called Tarot Through the Numbers. She breaks down the meanings of the numbers and how to work with them that way. Sorry to talk about it and you can't really get it, but if after I go through all of that course and there's some tips or things that I can bring back up in the Facebook group, I will definitely do that. Because I think that Melissa works really heavily through working through the numbers of the tarot, and not just the suits. Hi, Rebecca. I hope you're doing well today. How are we doing on time? We're an hour and 15 in. I think we're doing good. We're halfway. Now we're on the threes, so we're going to be halfway through what we have to talk about today. Let me get these sorted. Does anybody have anything they want to contribute or talk to about the twos before we move on? Some of the courses are available through the archive. Oh, that's amazing. I did not know that. Thank you, Solaria. I don't really know how to, I signed up for 2 courses through that. It was Ethany's Psychic Tarot, which was really, really interesting. I'm almost all the way through. I have a couple more videos to watch for that one. And then Melissa Cynova's. There was so many courses I wanted to choose from. But yeah, and I think it's really important, even if I'm discovering a topic which I feel like I know really well, I don't. Once I hear the words and the thoughts of somebody else's, it just brings so much and helps to build on things. So even if you're a seasoned reader and you're doing this professional for decades and decades, it's still nice to keep up and hear other people's thoughts on certain things. The Two of Cups is the heart and the soul of my relationship with my twin flame. I wouldn't have it any other way. This card is my favorite of the twos out of the 4 cards. Yeah, so not to pick favorites, but everybody let me know what your favorite of the twos are. That's interesting. What are my favorite of the two? Oh, my favorite is the Two of Swords. Sorry. Just because it's not the easiest out of all the cards, but it is definitely, for me, it's been the most eye-opening. All right, cool. Let's go on to the threes. So proud of us. And really me for trying to stick on track as much as possible. So the threes are about journey. So while we were at the, oh balls, the nurse is here. Oh balls. But I want to watch all of these from the beginning anyway, but still glad I got to say, hey, I hope you're having a great day. Rebecca, I love you. I'm sending you lots of love, and I'm glad that you popped in and oh balls to the comments. Solarius is the Two of Cups is her favorite. So the threes. So we were at the aces, or the beginnings, or the gifts, or the start, the essences. And then we moved into the twos, which are about coming together and about making choices or planning, bringing two things together. And then we move into the journey. Now it's like, what are we going to do from here? What's happening from here after these plans are set forth, or after this relationship has started, or after, you know, we've really learned how to juggle and balance the things in our lives, and so on and so forth. So here are the threes. And Melissa says the threes represent a journey, an emotional, physical, or intellectual journey. What is certain about all four of the threes is that change is coming. The cards are about finding your stride and getting to the core of the issue, however painful or exhilarating that will be. The threes are a little bit difficult in some ways, and not in others, but that's with anything. So we're going to start with the Three of Pentacles. The Three of Pentacles is teamwork. Who has a hard time with teamwork? Who loves teamwork? Let's all talk. This right now is teamwork. Even though I'm leading the show, it's much better when we have people contributing. So thank you for the Three of Pentacles vibes for everyone who's here in the comments or watching the playback. And the Three of Swords can suck it. Oh my God, we're not there yet, but all right. I love your enthusiasm. Teamwork, honest and supportive teamwork too. This is a fantastic card for business, friendship, new opportunities, and family issues. It's about the triumph of Team Us over the sometimes petty needs of the individual. This is a journey to a goal, and you can't do it by yourself. This is really important. This is a card that I think a lot of people struggle with, but realize in the end that it's really in the benefit for us all to. Don't put me in groups for school projects. You know, I felt the same. I do. But why? And kind of like, ooh, my left side of my head is tingling. Learning and discovering why that is interesting to me. So let's just break this down just for a second. A lot of people, and myself included, hate group projects. When I was in school, I was like, oh my God, we're doing a class assignment, we're doing this. And most of it was because I was such a goody brown noser. Obviously, I love school, I love learning, I love doing things and homework. So I just felt like nobody else was going to bring to the table as much as I was, and that other people were going to hold me back. That's not a good way to think. That's not a supportive or that's not beneficial to anybody. What I've learned in my life, though, is sometimes when we would have group projects, you know, the teacher would put us together with certain groups instead of picking your group yourself. Now think about the difference between when you were in school or when you're being forced at your job or in your life to do things as a group. The difference it makes between your group being chosen for you or for you being able to choose your group. And when you're in school, a lot of the times you choose your friends because you just want to work and talk with your friends. But it actually lends a lot of knowledge into how your friends and you get along and how you can, a lot of the times it would be like, oh yeah, I want to work with my friends, but I know that this friend isn't really going to be the best one to work with. Translate that into your adult life. Who are you working with? Who are you choosing to collaborate with? Who are you choosing to, you know, go forth and get things done? You want to make sure you're choosing your team wisely. And that's not to be, you know, cryptic or anything. It's just to get things accomplished, to get to the top of the mountain. Sometimes we have to make hard decisions. And even though we might love and want someone there to work with us because we want them there, they might not be the best for our team. Or it might be something that you really need to work through to have an understanding of how best to give a little to let them help you. Does that make word? This is a shadowy card for a lot of people, I feel, because our first reaction is to be like, I hate working in groups. Why? Talk about it. Because I feel the same. But now in my life, my whole life is about teamwork. I feel like with this is just the Three of Pentacles. in a digital way. Yes, teamwork makes sense. Oh no, I don't want to report that comment. Makes sense. My card shows 3 men looking at what I think is a treasure map, and they have to help each other to find the treasure. I don't mind working into a group until you have to drag your partner by their hair to do anything. My Aries moon comes out big time then. Ooh, you got an Aries moon, Victoria Lynn. I feel that. I feel that. So let's, did I even read the 3 of Pentacles? No. Yes, I did. This is a very encouraging card. That's all the rest that I highlighted from here. It's important. It's an important card. It's important to learn to work together within a family, within a group, within friendships, and to know that not everyone's different and that everyone learns and grows and works differently, and to kind of be able to collaborate is an important lesson that I think a lot of people resist, as myself does as well, because everyone knows I can do it better. Everyone knows that I will do it quicker and better, but that's not always the case. That's just ego talking. Anyways, oh, I got passionate about that one. Are you ready? Ready for the card that Sam says can suck it? Moving on to the 3 of Swords. Bum, bum, bum. This is one of the bleakest looking cards, but it's also, no hisses. Okay, so the 3 of Swords is obviously not the prettiest looking card in the deck. And we're really working again back to the air element. So intellect, communication, thoughts, even breathing, just breathing through this card is difficult when you have swords piercing through your freaking heart and it's raining. Now, for me, it's funny because rain, a lot of people think of dreary and sorrow and heavy and depressing. For me, this card has always been a little bit of a conflict of the imagery because I get where this symbology is coming from, but rain is very freeing, very calming to me. I love rain and thunderstorms, so I get it, but to me, there's always been a little bit of resistance towards that here. But I would say like fog to me is a little bit more, I don't know. Anyways, that's just a personal thing. The 3 of Swords. My first instinct when I see this card is to say, I'm sorry. You can't really soften this card. Something broke, someone died, someone was betrayed. There is loss, pain, tragedy, and heartache. The person who receives it will often know exactly what it's referring to before you start speaking because the event cast a shadow over their life. This 3 of Swords card is a transition of the soul. I don't feel that this card can be taken lightly. That's really important. Whenever we're talking about heartache or loss or depression or anything like that, it's really important as readers, for ourselves or for others, to understand the weight of our guidance and our messages to people. And she says, every time I receive it in a reading, some kind of universal whammy is aiming at the client. The best thing to do when you see this in a reading is to tell your clients to take a deep breath and brace themselves for uncontrollable change. But to know that grief can only stay a while, and eventually time will heal all wounds. Ooh, I know. It's like so hard to say that or to think it or to feel it when you're in the moment. And this is, I get asked a lot, or the question comes up within the community or tarot readers, what's one of your make or break cards in decks? I have to feel this card. I have to see it and feel it. And a lot of the times this works for me within the Rider-Waite-Smith, but this is one of the best ones, I feel like, is the Sassy Burrito's interpretation of the 3 of Swords. I mean, look at her. She's just beside herself. She just is stabbed in the back, through the heart, is bleeding, and just the doom and gloom in the background to me is much more representative of the feeling of that, like, taking your breath away. If you've ever just been just devastated, this is a hard card, but everybody has to go and live through this at some point to know how to work through it, or how to grow, or to really learn how to Oh, it's hard to say that even. Like, I can feel it. I know what this feels like. Everyone knows what this feels like at some point. This is a challenging card, but ultimately it's there because we all go through it and we all experience it at some point in our lives. Yeah, when I first got this card, I cried so hard. It read me to the ground. I was like, you suck, but it was right. I needed to go through it. I like the sassy burrito depiction because for me, the heartbreak in the Three of Swords is definitely an unexpected heartbreak. You don't see it coming at all. That's a really good way to bring it up too. Yeah, it's most of the time, even when it's something like losing a loved one. So my papa was losing his life over a very long period of time. He was even in the hospital for a very long time before he transitioned out. We really had to work with him to get him to cross over. But that heartache, that grief didn't come to me for a long time. So it's like that feeling, that heartache, that heartbreak, even though I was processing the experience of what was happening at the time, the actual feeling of the Three of Swords didn't hit me until out of nowhere later, if that makes sense. So I get what you're saying, Sam, and that's the first example that comes up. I'm always confused by the fact that this is swords and not cups, yet is so emotional. Thoughts on that? That's a good thing to bring up. But I think that this is about hold on, let me just go back here. Okay, sorry. A lot of the cards can cross over elements. This one to me is like the acceptance of the thought before the feeling. So I see what you're saying, and I understand that as well, because heartache is to me about the acknowledgement and the acceptance intellectually, about understanding what's actually happening. So, and then feeling through that, if that makes sense. So like as my example about losing my papa was, like I was feeling it and I was thinking about it and I was processing it, but it was like something, it happened to me where I was like, I just realized that thought came to me where I was like, the understanding of him not being here anymore and me not being able to call him or hug him or talk to him. And I know this is getting kind of depressing and sad, but that's where we are with the Three of Swords. To me, it is connected with emotion and cups and hearts, but initially to me, it's that understanding and acceptance, or that connection between the processing intellectually, if that makes sense, or about so you can be really upset that a relationship's ending. You can feel through that. But where the Three of Swords really comes into me is that understanding and realization intellectually, or mind, or communication with yourself or others, that it actually is ending. You know what I mean? That's the best way I can put that. Same. We moved the same week my papa passed, so I was very much on autopilot till months later when I basically debilitated my deliberately. I get what you're saying. Three of Swords followed me for months after that. Right. So I think that there's a clear connection between remember how we talked about the swords being like the aha moment, the thought that like coming into it, like the realization. So there's always going to be connections, and through each of the cards, to multiple things, to multiple elements, to multiple experiences and things. It can go so many different ways. And that's especially true from going from aces further on. It gets more complicated and more in depth as you go, because it's coming away from the essence and there's more things to draw upon. But I think that you're really hitting on some things that other people struggle with as well. I am going to keep going. Okay, that's an interesting point about the mental process and acceptance. The Three of Swords followed me for months after that. Yeah, so if you've ever had a thought about like, oh, I'm really upset, I'm hurt, I lost my job, I was, I'm upset, I'm talking about it, I'm crying, I'm processing, things are happening, but then like a month later, you still haven't found a job, and the weight and the severity and the realness actually hits you of the change and the loss, whatever that loss is. That's where the Three of Swords, I feel like, really lives inside, is that like actual realization and processing of that. We're going to move on now to the Three of Wands. The Three of Wands is the Two of Wands. Sorry. Three of Wands. Where the Two of Wands is hesitant, the Three of Wands is listening, watching, and getting ready to go. I think of the Three of Wands with the man as past, present, and future. He's literally turning his back on everything but the future. There doesn't seem to be much ahead of him, but I think it's all about perspective. He sees amazing things. He sees his future, his ideals, and his successes play out ahead of him, and he's just about to go for it. It's often associated with itchy feet. You might be held back by another person, by circumstances beyond your control, or by yourself. It's like, to me, the best way to describe this that everyone can sort of relate to is like when you're in your teenage years or even before or after that, and you're still living at home with your parents and you're just like, I want to go. I want to live on my own. I can take care of myself. Like, I know that there's bigger and better opportunities and things out there. Like, I'm just waiting. I need to plan. How am I going to be able to support myself on my own? How am I going to be able to go out and do all these things? Like, to me, that's a really fun way to think about the meaning of this card. Here's what it looks like in the Sassy Burrito Tarot. There's still fire here. It's planning. So you can see things are coming together, but it's still in a deliberation and a preparation type of movement here. I feel like this is funny because the fire element and the suit of the wands is so action, passion, inspiration, movement based. But up from the aces to the threes, and even the fours, I'm trying to think where it starts to get, like, I feel like this is kind of a slower thing. Like, there's a lot of deliberation. There's a lot of, like, beforehand, like, the building up of movement before it really, really explodes later on in the suit. So here is our Three of Wands. Anybody else have anything to contribute about that? I'm going to keep this going. Ink and Flame. Hi, okay, I already read your comment, but thank you so much. Witchy Jim. Hi, Witchy Jim. I hope you're doing well this morning. The Three of Wands is always there. I get hung up in readings, and this explanation just made it so much easier for me to understand. Yay! Oh, cyber high five, Sam. Ready? 1, 2, or anybody else. High five. Okay, that's awesome. That was dorky. I'm moving on now to the Three of Cups. I really like that interpretation. Mary Greer. Thank you, man. Okay, that's okay. Shows the astrological associations of the sun in, sorry, I lose the comments. Sun in Aries. I've been drawn to the Three of Wands instantly, and I'm an Aries, but mainly just ready to go in my life. Yeah, so, I mean, there's a lot more that goes to that card, but at its essence, it's that feeling of, like, there's something out there, or it's, you know, that song, that Belle sings in The Beauty and the Beast. You know what I'm talking about? I want adventure in the great wide somewhere. And you know that she's getting ready. You know she's going to go, but how is she going to do? And she's speaking very passionately and action-based. And like that song to me feels very Three of Wands. Where like she's actually not going anywhere yet. I mean, you see her like on the top of a hill, but she's still surrounded by it and inside her village. But that want, that need, that drive, that beginning to go there, I feel it. Okay, so now we're going to end the threes with the Three of Cups. Whenever I see this card in a reading, I immediately know that the person getting the reading has people. They've got a tribe, a heart family, even if their own family isn't as involved as they could be. This card is about love, support, silliness, and having absolute certainty that someone has your back. Flips page. Oh, that's it. That's it. I mean, this honestly, she goes into the inverted, but actually I'm going to go into a little bit of the inverted here, or the reversal. So this would be like in a challenging aspect. So if it's in a position that's challenging, or maybe if you do read reversals, think about it this way. You know how sometimes you have the exact right amount of friends around a table, and then someone else sits down and it goes all weird and awkward? Or when you're cheating on your partner and it always feels like you're just about to get caught? Yeah, that's this card. So it's like, you think three's a crowd, but like actually then you put a fourth in there and you're like, oh, okay, well now what? So this is about friendship. This is about, yeah, the tribe. This is it's very easy to understand. It's like, could be seen as very cliquey, or just like having your people, like this community, and coming back and forth and sharing experiences and being open and being vulnerable with others about how you're feeling and being able to have support and fun. This is like girls' night out, yes. Or just, it doesn't have to be girls' night out, but you know what I'm saying. It's that feeling of being able to get together and share and express and live through happy emotions. Most of the time happy. This is the Three of Cups. I absolutely effing adore this card. This is one of my favorite, if not my favorite, Three of Cups of all time. I love the diversity in here. I love how they're holding each other, and if you were to draw a line or take a string and pull through where their hearts are, I can see them just aligning them up and kind of stacking their hearts and feeling through each other, and just like an embracive hug. Like, I'm here for you. I love you. I'm supporting you. And then I love the rainbow up here. It's just, this is a really beautiful way to interpret the Three of Cups to me, that I think. All right, as we're moving on, we're going to go on to the Forest. Does everybody else? Yep, just another busy Monday at work. I agree. The Sacerabido is a beautiful deck, and that's a great Three of Cups. All right, so we've made it through the threes. We're going on now to the Forest. Does anybody have anything else to say while I prep my cards here? I love the Sacerabido's Three of Cups. And hello, hi, how are you this morning? I'm so glad you could join us. All right, we're going to be moving through the fours. We're doing it. We're doing it, people. The Forest. Wait, let me hold up all of them like I've been doing. Consistency, Sam, consistency. Let's see if I can do this clearly for you guys. The fours. It's the best I'm going to do. Hold on. Solaria Willow says, I see the Three of Cups as an integration of ourselves, maybe even inner child work. I need to take that in. I see the Three of Cups as an integration of ourselves, maybe even inner child work. I can see that. That's powerful. That's a powerful statement. Okay, so the fours, the keyword that Melissa has, which I can definitely get on board with, is resting. So we're dealing with the four elements and the four cards within the fours, four fours. And she has the keyword for resting. In each of the fours, there's a moment of peace, of grace, really. The awareness of your possessions and the surroundings in your pentacles, the clarity of mind in the swords, the breath before the celebration in wands, and even the weariness in the inu of the cups. There is a feeling of putting down defenses and relaxing into now. So much of the tarot is looking to the future. The fours are the present. That's more so what I feel like than resting, but I do love her interpretation of the resting. I just feel like resting to me heavily relies just on the Four of Swords. To me, I like her interpretation of calling these like the present. This is the present within each of the elements. This is the present energy. So let's break it down and go through all of what that means. I said it like, let's break it down. All right, so we're starting with the Four of Pentacles, and this little nasty bugger follows me everywhere. One of my stalker cards. Melissa says the Four of Pentacles is about protecting what is yours. The guy is sitting with two pentacles at his feet, is holding another really tightly, and has a fourth above his head. He looks really grumpy, but I don't think that this is an inherently bad card. A lot of people in this world equate possession with selfishness. It's more about taking care of yourself before you take care of other people. Or I put in parentheses a note, conserving. Flips page. And I want to make a note too here that I'm reading this as if I'm reading the entirety of the section. I've just highlighted a lot of these and made it flow to where I can condense it. There's a lot of things that she's wrote in this book that I am not talking about. So just so you know there, but not because I don't think it's good. It's just trying to keep this moving. You have to be sure that you are cared for before you can adequately care for others. I saw this a lot when I was a social worker. The caretakers would wear themselves out completely while making sure their patient was okay. Then they would wind up in the hospital with exhaustion or heart attack because they weren't showing themselves the same respect they showed their client. It's a bad idea. The most important thing that you can ask yourself about your stuff is, does it serve me? Because stuff, we're talking about pentacles, we're talking about earth, the physical realm, our resources, our money, our jobs, our home, our relationships within our family, our friends. This is very like stuff. This is the element of stuff. Does it serve me? If not, it's time to find a new home. If so, then hold tight to it. Don't give it up without a fight. Purge and create space is my little note at the end. So here is the Four of Pentacles in the Sassy Burrito Tarot. And then we have the collective breath before music starts or before the curtain rises. Cute! I love that. Okay, so here are our Four of Pentacles cards. To me, this is a very fine balance, and why I feel like this personally stalks me is because there is a very fine line between conserving and hoarding. There's a very fine line between saving and withholding. There's a very fine line between enjoying our material possessions and becoming materialistic. And I definitely kind of waver back and forth on that line. And I constantly need reminding of, sometimes to create more or to have abundance, it's good to purge and to let go, or to open up and to not hold on to money mindset. And to allow room and space for new things to come in. And this is just personally a card I have challenges with sometimes because of fear of not having enough. And I can block myself. But the positives in the upright of this card are really pulling towards, you know, saving versus spending, or really being grateful and appreciative of the now and the present within your resources and your physical home and body. And I really do like this depiction as well. So anybody else saying anything? The Four of Pence came up in a reading about my fiction writing. And to me, it said I was holding too tight to the work I'd already done versus creating new work. Ooh, yay! I love that interpretation. I just got very excited for you. What a great message to come through. So that is the Four of Pentacles. Let's keep going. So we're going to move now to my ultimate stalker card in the history of stalker cards. Telling you, the sword suit is really, it's me. It's not, it's me. So the Four of Swords is what's next. And she likes to follow me around. Four of Swords. Melissa says, put your thoughts at ease. Easier said than done, Melissa. This is a knight who is truly at rest. Can't relate. Sometimes you just have to tell your brain to shut up and be still. Sometimes, if you're not sure where to go or what to do, the best thing to do is have a nap and figure it out later. Have you ever heard the expression sleep on it? That's like this card. Think about what we've just gone through with the Three of Swords. So now she's going back and talking about the progression through the sword suit. This was damaging to mind, body, and spirit, and rest is sorely needed. The whole card is geared towards encouraging you to take a deep, deep breath, unstick your tongue from the roof of your mouth, and relax. I have a hard time with this because I'm constantly thinking and going and communicating and creating and living and cleaning and organizing and talking and talking and talking and talking and connecting, and I will run myself ragged if I don't. My body will shut itself down. My mind will overload if I don't consciously take Four of Swords energy and live through it. The Four of Pentacles. Okay. Oh, wow. Me too. Growing up with nothing, I tend to cling to and hoard things way too much. I had to learn that sometimes to make room for more, you need to let go. Beautiful, Victoria Lynn. So to me, this is about, it's important for me to take time to shut off. It's important for me to do my daily pages in the morning because it's a way for me to, even though I'm still communicating and writing and processing, it's a way for me to kind of shut off everything else around me and take a moment to rest and to reflect and to go within. Meditation is extremely important for me. Taking naps, I feel guilty when I am not doing something constantly, and that's why this card comes up for me a lot. I adore the Four of Swords in this card. It really, really encompasses everything to me, and this blue here kind of makes it look like he's dying, but to me it's pulling on the area in which I feel like the throat chakra and the swords element lives right here within our head and our chest. So with the air coming in and out of our lungs, being able to use our voice or our throat, our mouths, even our eyes, our nose, our ears, this whole area, our brain right here with this blue color is like kind of being accessed with the coloration here. Love and hate this card. Moving on. The way I'm the same way, busy life and busy mind, and the Four of Swords shows up for me a lot too. It's important to let yourself live and to let yourself rest through the energies of the Four of Swords, because that's what our body needs. We need to shut off and rest, and sometimes more can get done in allowing yourself a break or a pause. Moving on to the Four of Wands. We have the Four of Wands. Walking through the chuppa and ready. Is that really what that is? Oh Lord, this card has been stalking me this last year. I always take care of everything and everyone else's and leave very little for myself. It's a good reminder to check in with myself. I saw the blue as a cooling of energy. I love that too. I just feel like the cooling of energy or the relaxing, bringing it to the areas in which the swords is typically accessed. I love that, like combining that. That's awesome. Four of Wands. Ready to join the party. This is about celebration, joy, silliness, and the excitement of completion, union, family, and friends. This is one of the happiest cards in the deck and also one of the simplest. 4 sticks, flowers, and a party. I feel like I like the balance of the wands, the flowers, and the feeling of joy that resonates from the people in the town. Hold on, let me go see if there's anything else. There is so much potential here, but we're not moving yet. This card is a reminder to enjoy the moment. So again, you're feeling like we started with the Ace of Wands, now we're the 2 of Wands, then the 3 of Wands, and like we're preparing. So there is action, there's things happening. You know, we're decorating, we're getting the music ready, we're, you know, anticipating the party, like, or the wedding, or the, you know, whatever this is, the graduation, whatever this is. It's the coming together of celebrating, of action, of passion, of inspiration and love and all of the things. But again, the party hasn't started yet. Just want to make that pretty clear that throughout the rest of these cards that we've already gone through, there's a lot that's happened. And in the Wands, the suit of action and movement, we're still kind of just tipping the iceberg here. So here is the 4 of Wands. This is really interesting to me. So here we're like planning it out. We're really trying to make things fit. We're trying to keep it symmetrical. There's action here, but it's not, again, it's not fully fulfilled. So that's what we have for our 4 of Wands. Let me see. I saw 4s, security and or manifesting. Love that too, definitely. Yeah, there's, you know, it's hard to encompass, just like it was hard for us to pick one soul card. It's really hard to encompass all of these with just one word or just one thing, because they can be so many different things and pull on so many different experiences. But I think Melissa's done a really good job here. Let's keep going here, and we'll finish out the 4s with the 4 of Cups, which is my card for next month. And I'm just like, what? Why am I going from the Sun card to the 4 of Cups? I mean, I get it. It makes sense. But, like, why, though? So here's the 4 of Cups. All right. This card can be defined by the word meh. The person is being particular because they know what they want. Possibly avoiding an unsuitable partner or a job that doesn't fit them. Moving on. He's so focused on his inner life that the cups are going ignored. So he's just like sitting in his pity and his wallowing, like, I don't want it, I don't care, it's whatever, I'm just doing what I want. And the universe is like, hey, how about this cup? And he's like, whatever, it's not good enough. And there's 3 full cups down here, 2 it's not accessing, and doesn't want any part of it. So that's all she's got here. But hold on, let me just... So to me, I just want to read a little bit of the reversal for this one because I think it helps out with giving a little bit more to the upright as well. So we're thinking about this in a challenging aspect, which 4 cups is already kind of like meh. Feeling of meh is kind of not the best or the most positive way, but sometimes it's necessary to just meh, you know? So in a challenging aspect, a reversal or an inverted, we're talking about the 4 of cups being unsatisfied or bored. Kind of still along the same lines as the uprighted to me. It's time to get over yourself and get up and do something about your life. If you've been burned after effort in the past, you're more likely to sit back and not try again. So when this card comes up, maybe you use the sitting down time to figure out if you're ready to be brave. So have you ever heard like, or felt like, what's the point? What does it even matter? Like, I don't even try because... And when you're listening to somebody else be that way or say things like that, it's like you just want to shake them and go, what do you mean? Of course it's worth it. What do you mean? You have to do something. You have to try. Like, there's no point in just sitting around and giving up. Like, there is a bit of giving up to me within this card. Or just like... whatever. Like, it's so frustrating to see someone live through that, but if anyone's been in that, sometimes it's just you have to live and get through it and find again why and what you want to do or where you want to go or why did you get in this position in the first place and how can you transform yourself into not ignoring the opportunities and feeling the passion and the move again. I will read your guys' comments. Just give me 1 second. Here is the Sassy Burrito. I, again, feel like this is one of my favorite interpretations of the 4 of Cups. It is very, very simple. So it's still kind of a heavy, dark, kind of depressing card with all the grays and the blacks and the heaviness. But she's facing towards total darkness. When it's like, yeah, there still might be not so much here, but like there's 4 cups and they're right in front of her face and she is choosing to look away because she's just like, nah, nothing's good enough. So let's see what you guys are saying. I gotta go back down for a second. Paperbit says, hey guys, just joining. Please say energy healing for my hubby. He is having emergency surgery for kidney stones. Ooh, Paperbits. Let's just take a second. Let's just take a second. We have a second. Everybody take 10 seconds to think really healing, loving, positive thoughts for Paperbit's husband who's going through surgery. Let's just take a couple of seconds. I think I needed that too, so I hope that helps. I tried to see him whole and healthy and complete and better after the surgery than he was before. That's an interpretation for the 4 of Cups, knowing what you want and nothing lives up to it. I feel that a lot. I'm working on overcoming that. Interesting interpretation. I got you, Ink and Flame. So happy to join while I'm in the waiting room. Ooh, okay, we sent some... So I tried to see him whole and happy and complete and healthier than he was before going into the surgery. Okay, I'm sorry I'm late. I love the 4 of... I hate how you guys, like, apologize for being late. Like, everybody has the time to come in every single time. I just appreciate you guys watching the playback or being here or wanting to learn and chime into the discussion. So don't ever feel bad for being late. Sent so much healing vibes and love. Okay, you guys are awesome. So that is the Four of Cups. We're 2 hours in. We're going to make our way through. I'm going to talk about our homework, and we're going to try and send off for the day. I'm trying to do my best here, you guys. I'm keeping it on track as much as possible. I've had a hard time not feeling like this card reads a bit of selfish and ungrateful. I would say that that can be definitely an aspect of it. Feeling so ungrateful for the opportunities that you have. I feel like a good way, ooh, yeah, my head is tingling again on the left side. I felt the Four of Cups a lot as a teenager. And it's more so like, my life is so hard. What's the point? You know, that like angsty teenage that we have, like teenage feelings that we all go through, like my life is horrible, or like nothing's going the way I want. No one understands me. Like a lot of that can live within the Four of Cups. And just realizing that like I did kind of have a hard teenage life, but then at the same time, like I had such a great and loving and encouraging teenage life. But in that feeling of like nothing matters, like what is it even all for anyways, that to me is definite Four of Cups. So yeah. So Paperbit says, I'm going to go back and watch whole thing. This is such a great series. Thank you so much. Again, I'm apologizing and not apologizing for the 5-hour live stream content through the majors. I just felt like that's how it had to happen. And I know it's a lot of content to get in, but some people have said that they like rambly long content to like do their chores. So hopefully that's how you guys are taking it. It's just a lot. I feel very passionate and I don't want to limit myself, and for those of you who want to listen to it all, you can, and for those who want to skim through, great. Let's keep going because we're doing really good on time, but I don't want to go back down. So let's finish up with our fives. This is the last of the minors that we had for this week's reading. I'm trying to get them all in there. Woo! We can see them. We'll go through them. It's okay. So here's the fives. I'm so grateful for you taking the time to teach us. I'm grateful that you want to learn. This takes up a lot of my time. I'm not gonna lie about it. And this isn't for me to make you feel bad, because if I wasn't passionate, if this isn't what I wanted to do, I want this to be free. I want this to be accessible. I want to learn as much as I feel like I'm teaching. Even though it feels dirty on my tongue to say that, because it's almost like, again, I'm not worthy, but I want to learn as much from you as you might learn from me. And it takes up a lot of my time and energy. And so the more that you guys are encouraging with each other in the comments or engaging, that means so much to me, because it makes it all worth it. So, because it's a lot. So you're very welcome, and thank you back. The fives. The fives, the keyword Melissa has is renewed action. After the inertia of the fours, we're gearing up again. The pentacles are recovery. The cups are regret. The swords are revenge. And the wands are revolt. The fives are about unrest and preparedness. These cards are hard. We're not leaving today's lessons with some easy aspects. You don't get to pretty these cards up for clients, and you just have to tell them what's going on. Life has ups and downs and challenges and beautiful opportunities and experiences, but living and breathing through the tarot of the fives and the suits within this number is very difficult. So let me go back. Thank you. I'm looking forward to that Four of Cups feeling once we've gotten through the fives. Jokes. Yes, so am I. Thank you, Professor Sam. Thank you. Thank you so much. Makes me feel like I'm a teacher at Hogwarts. You learn the most when you teach others. Thanks from me to you. Thank you. Emily went through that last year. She's a special effects makeup artist and had all of these offers and opportunities, but she was just in such a bad place mentally that she ignored all of it. Yeah. And sometimes it's okay. That's okay. And sometimes that happens. And I feel like I would love to keep that conversation going if you want to bring up any more stuff like that in the Facebook group, because I think there's a lot of different avenues that we can still touch on with the cards that we brought up and a lot of experiences that you guys have gone through. So the fives, yeah, I already did that. So let's break it down. The Five of Pentacles is what we're going to start with here. And the Five of Pentacles is hard. Again, all of these cards are not the easiest, but the Five of Pentacles is definitely, it's hard. So down on your luck, being ill, being disconnected from hope. This card is really a punch in the stomach. Now, again, remember, we're dealing with Pentacles, so we're dealing with the physical body, we're dealing with our resources, our relationships as far as our physical realm, like our house, our job, our home, our security, our, you know, our comforts in our material possessions or our physical body, the earth, the grounding, the actual earth. This card is really a punch in the stomach. All of those things that keep you up at night, all of those things that you can't control that keep you up at night, your lost job, your lost love, the ground under your feet has shifted. The things are going to be difficult for a while. But if you look at the basic card, though, relief is right around the corner. The people are walking along the side of a church, and you can see the warm glow of lights. Sanctuary is only a few steps further. If you can take a deep breath and lift your head, you'll see the help waiting there for you. Again, you know, this is hard, but I feel like we've all been through this or have to go through this again. We have to live and breathe through all of the tarot at some point in our lives, but this one in particular is one that I think that can kind of pass us by, and we realize that we were in it, but it's harder to admit it to yourself that you're in that space when you're in it. Again, this card to me has a lot of denial, but that's just me. Here is what it looks like in the Sassy Burrito. She's definitely down. She looks defeated. She's just kind of given up, that like slumping of the shoulders, like she's just ready to just give in. And this to me is the feeling in the moment before surrender. So getting to that place of knowing that the only thing you have left to do is for asking for help or to surrender. But it's not there yet. It's that getting to that final place of like, I give up. I need help. I need somebody to come in, and I need, please help me. Somebody help me. I surrender. I have nothing left, which isn't the case, but it's that feeling to me, that before surrender kind of feeling. Again, associating this with the element of earth. Okay, if anybody has anything to add or anything like that, you can add it. Now that you've said that about denial and the Five of Pentacles, I can see a period in my life before I learned tarot that would be one of those times, and I didn't see it. Yeah, I feel like looking back after it's happened is easier to say like, oh yeah, I was totally in a Five of Pentacles moment, but I feel like Five of Pentacles is definitely like in a space of like avoidance or denial within what's actually happening. And then as you get through it, that's when the acceptance and the surrendering can occur. This card would not get off my ass in the last 3 years, but relief. You're right. Relief is right around the corner. I found it this year and I'm stronger for it. Awesome. I'm glad that you're coming out of that. It's challenge. Now we're moving on to the Five of Swords. Get it to focus on the card. Petty and self-involved thoughts keep you from noticing the people around you. This is really ego to me, like ego in thoughts and communications and intention. You're really thinking only of yourself, and this is distracting you from the greater good. The Five of Swords is kind of sneaky, and we do see that within a lot of the Swords suit, and especially going, you know, further on and then the Seven and stuff like that. Manipulation is a definite negative way of using the swords, or the power within the swords. Manipulation, sneakiness, lying, things like that. Intent is very important with this card, but even with good intent, it's tricksy. The main character has such a smirk on his face. You're almost wishing he would trip and drop them all. Sometimes, though, you have to be tricky in order to stick up for yourself. Intent is everything. Let me get into this card, but I think Paper Bit said something about her husband. Guys, doctors came out much sooner than expected. He did great and got the stone. This is a powerful group. I tell you all, you are magically wonderful. Oh my god, I'm gonna cry. That's so sweet. Thank you. Okay, no more interruptions. Thank you all. Yay! That's amazing, Paper Bits. That's so cool that you got to sit here and find some sort of hopefully comfort and peace within, you know, listening and commenting with us. And I'm glad that we could send some energy his way. I'm very, very happy for you and your husband. That's amazing. I feel we walked the 5 minors this morning. Oh, I feel that too. I got you there. That is great. Yippee for you both. Okay. It's okay to distract us if it's for stuff like that. That's really wonderful. Here is the 5 of Swords in the the Sassy Burrito. There's more, though, that I have highlighted. It says, no one is willing to concede an inch of ground. So we're looking back at the Rider-Waite. And so they're all at an impasse. How freaking frustrating. Wait. This is the Wands. I was like, what? That doesn't make sense. Let me go back. Sometimes, though, you have to be tricky in order to stick up for yourself. Intent is everything. Right. So it's almost like, to me, a lot that comes into this is like little white lies, whether that's okay or not, or whether like just the truth, tell the truth, or use your words in a pure intent. But sometimes, oh, Phoebe's barking. Think about it in this way, right? So you have a significant other and they come out and they're like, or a friend, and they're like, do I look good in this? Should I cut my hair? What, you know, like, tell me your thoughts, right? And you're like, I don't know. Like, I don't want to lie to her, but also I don't want her to feel bad. Is that intent really good and pure? Are you white lying because of good intent, like you don't want to hurt their feelings? Or is it better just to tell them the truth and find a nice way to let them know? Or are you being a little B-word and telling them because of jealousy or in a dominating thing within yourself, like, oh no, that dress looks great on you, or you should totally cut your hair, because you know that they'll probably look good but they won't be as attractive. Like, there is really, really hard things in here that we really have to access within ourselves, communication wise, of what our intentions are and how we use our swords for power. The swords are a intimidating thing. So even just, my dog is driving me crazy. So even having somebody sitting holding a sword, you're very aware that they have a weapon. My dog is just going crazy right now. Phoebe! She goes, like being yelled at, but I still want to bark. So we have here the swords at each of the fingertips here. I could go on and on and on about this card as well. There's a lot of sneakiness and thinking about, you know, getting away with things, manipulation, tricksy. What is he going to do with those swords? How can you use that in a good way? But even then, there's still some underlying, like, what is a good way? What you might think is a good way for someone might be a really not so great way to somebody else. There must be the deer in our front yard or something, because that really sets her off. Yes, thank you, Professor Sam. This is a wonderful thing. I appreciate all of you. Okay, we're going to keep going through the wands that I thought that I had to read. The 5 of Wands. not the one, guys. A little difficult. Look at all these guys. Like, I adore the way Melissa breaks this card down. So let's read. There are a few ways to look at the Five of Wands. One is frustration, and the other is competition. Either are not the greatest. My legs are like sticking to the chair. Nasty. The person in the middle is completely surrounded by obstacles and has nowhere to turn. And no one seems interested in helping. It's difficult to see who's on the same team or if all of them are fighting each other. And then it says, no one is willing to concede an inch of ground, and so they're all at an impasse. How freaking frustrating. This card is very subjective, and it really depends on the question asked, the position of the card, and the client, which I feel like is true for all of the cards, but there are some that are, you really have to pay attention because it can go in different areas very quickly, and this is one of those cards. In this situation, you've got to decide whether it benefits you. Oh, it says, this is a struggle that he's gone into voluntarily or in which he suddenly found himself. In this situation, you've got to decide whether it benefits you more to continue fighting upstream or to relax and go with the crowd. Get your stick out of my face. Get your face out of my stick. This is the tarot equivalent of a slap fight. You're trying to go one way, everyone else is going another, and they won't stop messing with you. Either way, it's annoying and taking time away from your forward movement. And then I kind of want to touch on the reversal of this because it still can kind of add to the understanding of this as well, or the challenging aspects of this. It's more like deciding that this fight is not worth your time. I don't get into a lot of personal drama because I don't tell lies and I don't gossip. So it's like deciding that's like, it's not worth it. Just, oh my gosh, as much as I want to get in there and say my two piece, this to me a lot of the times feels like the comment section in a lot of Facebook things, where it's just like, there's no good way, there's no good answer. Everybody has their own opinions and own ways of thinking or dealing with certain things. And sometimes you read it and you're like, oh my God, get over yourself. Just let it go. It's Facebook. There is a lot of that energy in it to me if we're modernizing it. But also in a physical sense, think again about the action of fire. If you play with fire too much, or if too many people are trying to light the same fire, or, you know, everyone's trying to light a match at the same time, some people's are going to go out, or some people are going to, you know, some people's are going to take off, and other people's might not like that. Wow, I'm not speaking very eloquently, but I think you guys know what I'm saying here. And this Five of Wands in the Sassy Burrito deck is a good interpretation of this without people. I do really like the people being in there. This to me is lacking just a bit, but I still do get it. And there is, the best way to describe this is what Melissa said about it's basically like a tarot slap fight. Like nothing's going to move forward. Like nothing is going to get accomplished here. It's action in just action. It's movement and passion in just like it's happening, but nothing is really happening. Something's happening, but not really. Like if you ever get like thinking too about a bar fight, like how is that going to help anyone? Right? Like, oh, you're getting your passion and your aggression of like, dude, don't touch my girl, or like, get away from my man. But like, nothing's really going to help. Nothing's really going to come out of that. It's just action for pure ego again. So that is what we got going on with the Five of Wands. Yeah, the wands have a lot to do with the will and identity. So it's partly all that opinionated arguing that is so tiring and no one wins. Right. It's about not wanting to come to an agreement. It's about not wanting to declare a winner, or not wanting to declare some sort of common ground. It's just bickering, and it's just action and fighting for the sake of, I feel like this will make me feel better even though nothing's being accomplished. Oh, I did a reading about what I liked in fiction, and this card came up. Friction, conflict, that's true. Ooh, like action and adventure and probably like egotistical characters to me. All right, so now we are finishing up today's reading with the Five of Cups. Again, we're not leaving on the greatest of notes, but it's okay. So this is the Five of Cups, and the Five of Cups, she says, I call this card the maybe life card. The way that she describes this card, I have never thought about fully in this way, because she really makes it easy to connect to, and makes it really down to earth for me. So let me take a sip of my water before I get into this. Like the Two of Swords, she really explains this one a lot. I tried to highlight it and condense it to the best of my ability. And she said, I talked with a friend who said that his high school sweetheart was pregnant with her first child, and that it completely emotionally devastated him. He said that he felt stupid since it's been almost 20 years since he loved her, but that it hurt like he loved her and lost her just yesterday. I don't know that it was the love that hurt him either. I think it was the death of the maybe life. 20 years ago, he saw in her his future, his children, his home, and his forever. He watched himself grow old and die with her by his side. Even though life stepped in and separated their paths, that maybe life was still breathing. Just a little, until their path shifted just enough to make the maybe life completely impossible. And then I skipped a little bit to keep it going. It says, would I have more security? Would I have joy every day? Would I be loved more, touched more, appreciated more? The time doesn't matter. If it's 20 years later or 1 year later, you can remember that shift inside of you. You can feel the split in your path from what should have been to the unknown, and that is scary as hell. As a tarot reader, I can tell almost daily how terrifying the unknown is to my clients. As a person, it wakes me up in the middle of the night and leaves me breathless and anxious. In A Hat Full of Sky, Terry Pratchett wrote, why do you go away? So that you can come back, so that you can see the place you came from with new eyes and extra colors, and the people there see you differently too. Coming back to where you started is not the same as never leaving. You are not the same person that you were, so the rationale behind these decisions shifts as well. We always forget that part. In this card, I imagine the person crying until their eyelids are swollen, taking a few deep, shuddering breaths and wiping their nose on their robe. They turn around and nearly walk into a cup. They turn around and walk into the full cups that were behind them. They pick those up, drink deeply from one, and then walk away towards that bridge in the background, carrying the other so carefully to avoid spilling a drop. Walk respectfully away from the past. Drink in the present. Walk so carefully towards your precious future. The Five of Cups is about regret, sorrow, loss, and pain. And that's what we're going to end today's cards about. Let me see what you guys are reading, and I'm going to show you the one in the Sassy Burrito. Let me go back up. This card reminds me of 4-year-olds rolling around on the floor fighting over something dumb. So I think you're talking about the Five of Wands. Okay, I get this card a lot more when I'm avoiding getting into something where there's a lot of completion in certain areas. That's really... Imogen says, the death of the maybe life. It's just... that so resonates with me, and I've connected to a lot of different aspects of this card, but in her describing it that way, there was certain things that I went through that I can relate that really added that owning of this card in a different way. Solaria says, it makes me think of this story of Marie Antoinette. Supposedly she had always wanted to be a milkmaid and even set time to learn how to milk a cow. She never went through it, but there is a psychological theory based on the lives we do not live, unlived lives, and how they affect our present life. Yeah, so this doesn't even have to be like, she gives the example of her friend realizing that this love could never be, even though they hadn't been together in 20 years. But it could be not even just relationships wise, even though this card definitely does pull on love and relationships. It could be a love and a relationship with the thought around a career path and realizing that it's just not going to work out. Working years and years on studying a major and realizing that the field just doesn't have the funding for you, which is kind of where my brother's at right now. And maybe he's not living completely through the Four of Cups, but you know, my brother is wanting to go get his PhD in ecological sciences and wants to live and work through this thing that he's so passionate about, that he's tried so hard to, you know, create this pathway for himself, and there's just no funding for it at this time, and feeling like he might need to let go or might need to go in a different avenue, or feeling like you know, things are shifting is a good example of how this could be felt in maybe not so much of just relationships, but it could be with anything. Oh, I love that. Cheryl Strayed says a great essay about our ghost ship lives. Yeah, so the maybe life, there's been a lot that I've worked and lived through within this, and again, this is something that you have to kind of live through and breathe through to be able to move forward. Like she says at the end, the person, you know, stumbles upon the full cups, drinks deeply from it, and then make sure not to spill any drop. Once you come to that realization of like, that maybe life going, even as hard as it is, you're able to turn around and see the possibilities of what is coming next, or a new maybe life, or actual life that's happening to you. Here is it in the 5 of Cups for the sassy burrito. I like that she's actually standing in the water. I see the 5 of Cups as a time to do shadow work card. I love that. I can see that as well. It's definitely an inward card for me as well, and definitely a shadowy card, and great to do the shadow work actively through it. So we did it. We made it through an hour and 24 minutes. We've gone through the aces, through the 5s. I want to take a second now to see anything else that you guys want to contribute to this. If you guys have any questions or something that you wanted a little bit of clarification on, I will try my best. I tried to stick as close to the book, because even though I am sort of trying to teach here, I'm trying to stick with the book and the writing and starting the conversation through that. I was thinking the same thing, Ink and Flame. So just while you guys are coming up, I will announce the next reading section is for us to finish the minors. So we ended with the 5s. We're going to start with the 6s, and the 6s starts on page 168, and it goes until 221. So from 168 to 221, we're going to be covering this section here, and we're going to be finishing out the Minor Arcana. That's what our reading will be for next week. I will remind you in the Witchy Book Club. I will be checking in with you and everything like that. That is our next reading section. Then we will have one more live stream for the book, and we'll be covering the court cards, which I'm very excited about. They're some of my favorite cards, and I think it's going to be a really interesting introduction or discussion for us to do. Now, let me see what you guys are saying, if anything. I think it also relates to the 6 of Swords. We haven't gotten there yet, but a very interesting talk. Or coming to terms with work through shadow work. Yes, that's a good way to describe it as well. A lot of the 5s is just shadow work in general to me, because it's definitely more challenging things that we have to go through. Thanks, Sammy. I've been interested in this book, and this was my first taste. Very good stuff. Thank you so much. And again, I feel really, really weird saying this, but if at any point you guys feel like contributing to this and to my time, I would greatly appreciate it. Don't feel like you have to, but if there's something in you that makes you feel like you want to, there is the super chat option. I want to make this free. I don't want to go on Patreon. I really don't. But there's nothing wrong with Patreon, and I'm not putting anyone down that does. I just feel like it's not right for me, at least in this time. But I do recognize that this is a lot for me to put aside each week and to put all my heart into. So if at any point you guys do want to, I do link my PayPal down below, or the super chat, which is linked, is an option. But moving forward, our homework, I'm really, really excited about the homework. So let me just make sure, like, I love this. I will catch up this week. I love it. I love you as well, Paper Bits. Thank you so much for coming in, and I'm so glad that everything is well now. So okay, another reminder for people who came in late, next week starts the new time of Witchy Book Club. So instead of 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time from here on out until further notice, it will be 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time due to the children's school drop off time. I can't get back to start it at 9 like I was. So 10 o'clock starting next week. And you'll have to figure out what time in the world that is for you. And yeah, so there's a thing where you can donate $3 towards a cup of coffee. That's so cute. I feel like maybe I've seen that before. That might be something that's cool. Thank you so much for your time. You're an amazing teacher. I appreciate all that you do, lovely. Thank you so much. That means a whole lot to me. So, you guys ready for your homework? If you choose to accept, your mission is out of, again, the Tarot Activity book by Andy Matzner. This book, as well as Journaling Through the Tarot, was sent to me for review a while ago. And I have not done that because I'm really trying to work and explore both of the books a bit, and I'm really loving these, but I will probably be doing a video soon because I feel like it's time and I'm ready. But we got our soul card homework inspiration from this book, and now our homework for next week is going to be out of this book as well. And it is the gift. Your mission, if you choose to accept, is, here's the objective: to consider your own needs and desires. We are going to be working solely with the aces through the fives for this homework because we're trying to encompass. Thank you, Paper Bits. That's so sweet. She just donated $20 and it comes up as $19.99. But thank you so much. That means the world to me. Again, nobody feel like you have to, but if you, thank you. That means so much. I appreciate everything that you do and you've given to me in the past for things. And I love and support and appreciate all of you. Thank you. So this is about giving yourself a gift and about considering your needs and desires. We're going to be working specifically with the aces through the fives. I want you to pull all those out of a deck that you choose to work with. Are you ready? Surely you deserve a gift, don't you? And who better to choose that gift for than you? After all, you know yourself and your needs better than anyone. This exercise differs from the previous one. Okay, I'm not pulling from that. You will deliberately search through your deck from the aces through the five until you find what you're looking for. So, we're going to be deliberately choosing a gift to give ourselves, and we're going to be talking about and journaling about it. The process is the gift you deserve, the one that is especially for you, lies within your deck of tarot cards from aces to five. Please slowly go through your cards until you find the card that you intuitively know is your gift. In your journal, write down exactly why you picked the card that you did and describe the gift as it has for you. Finally, explain in your journal what you intend to do with your new gift. Now, we talked about some of the cards that are a little easier to deal with or a little harder to deal with, but don't think of Solaria Willow. Thank you so much. $5 is amazing. Thank you so much. Every little bit really means a whole lot to me. Thank you so much. You are amazing and beautiful, and you are killing it in the Witchy Book Club group. So here are all of our cards that we went through today. I don't want you to hold yourself back from thinking about the more challenging cards, like the ones that we just ended on with the fives, as being a gift to you as well. Sometimes the biggest gifts that we can give ourselves is, like we said, choosing to work through I'm on a budget, but sending you some very expensive thoughts with love. That is really, that's a great gift in itself. Just being appreciative and grateful. I am so thankful for that. So thank you so much, whether you're contributing actual money or just being grateful and interacting. Honestly means the world to me. And I really appreciate those of you who took time, things out of their pocket to give to me. That really means a lot. I just don't want, when we're thinking about this homework, to deter us away from picking the challenging cards as a gift, if that's where you feel like you need to go with. Or if for those of you, like with last week's homework, you had a difficulty in picking one for yourself, so you just chose one at random. So let's say you shuffle it up and you get you know, let's say you get, again, we just finished on this one, so we'll talk, but you get the 5 of Cups. How is this a gift? You know, how is this a gift? Learning and accessing through the gift you can give yourself of releasing your maybe life and starting your actual, or living through your actual and not living on the maybes or the what ifs, or, you know, how could this? There's certain things in which you can access gifts through every single one of these cards, but this is something that is going to be really fun. Again, maybe difficult, but I'm excited to see what you guys come up with. So again, you're considering your own needs and desires. You deserve a gift, giving yourself one, choosing one card out of the ace through the 5s. And you're going to journal or write down exactly why you picked the card that you did and describe the gift as it has for you. Explain in your journal what you intend to do with your new gift. All right, you guys, we did it. We got through it. It's 2.5 hours. Anything else that we need to go of? Again, I'm just going to say I love and appreciate all of you so much. This is giving me so much passion and drive and inspiration. And now, because we have our Witchy Facebook group, it is even more fulfilling to see your guys' homework, to see your thoughts, to have you guys in conversation about what is making you think deeper and questions that you might have. And being able to stay up with it more throughout the week. You guys helped me pick the next book, which is amazing because I feel like the decision wasn't on me. If you missed the beginning, it's facebook.com/groups/witchybookclub. Anyone can enter. I do have that you can ask, but you need to answer, but that's just to make sure you're not, you know, a troll. As well as our next book was picked by everybody in the Facebook group, and we're going to be dealing with a witchy fiction fun story, like fantasy. And the book that we all chose was Uprooted by Naomi Novik. When this processes, I will pop a link to the book on Amazon. I've already purchased mine. This book is quite popular, so if you are struggling for money but you still want to get into it, you can find it used, or you might even be able to find it at your library. Because it seems like it's pretty well known and it was a hit. So it most likely is at a library near you. Guys, we did it. I'm so happy that this wasn't a 5-hour live stream. We got through it. So if there's any other questions or anything else that you guys want to cover before I go, let's just make sure. No? All right. I am so grateful for you guys. I hope to see you over, and I hope to see a lot of new faces adding themselves to the Facebook group. Feel free to DM me anything else, or if you want to keep this conversation going over. Can't wait for witchy fiction. You guys, I am blown away and shocked at how many of you wanted to do witchy fiction and not something else, which I am happy about. Don't get me wrong. I just felt like nobody had an interest in that this was more of like an intellectual, like, let's learn, but why can't we learn through a good fiction book? And sometimes I learn the most through like a fantasy novel. So I'm really excited. That's it. I love you all so, so very much. And I hope that you have a beautiful, wonderful, magical day. And I will see you guys next time.